This is very much so type 2 fun, and by that I mean it isn't fun yet. So I'm on my first big adventure of the year. It's a very big adventure for me. I'm sure a lot of people it's not a big deal, but there's a lot of firsts for me which make it a big adventure. I'm on my first ever bikepacking trip, which for those who don't know is like backpacking, but instead of hiking, you're biking. This is also more or less my first long trip, long bike ride that is. Oh, there's a waterfall. Still getting the proper setup figured out. So day 1 is 18-ish miles and day 2 is 14 or 15, and both of those are longer than what I normally ride in a day. I may have ridden that far once before, but if I did, that would have been like on a flat rail trail. It's not flat. Road closed ahead. I assume that just means for cars. Yeah, so first long day for me, and at least in this year, if not ever. Haven't had any big days on the bike this year. I actually haven't ridden in about a month, thanks to the combination of just like life and the weather. It's been too wet to ride most of the trails for the past like 2 weeks or so. And the last part is I technically have been backcountry camping once before, but it was a little different. That time was on an island, and I actually had like a reservation and everything, and it was still very much a backcountry campsite, but there was like a defined campsite. This time not so much. Do you know if that just means for cars or if that's for bikes too?
You can ride a bike up. I just asked him. He was down there and talked to him quite a while.
Forgot exactly where I was, but yeah, I've been backcountry camping once, but it felt different because it was on an island, and so it still kind of feels like my first time backcountry camping. I'm very comfortable car camping. I feel like the biggest difference is like the food storage, and I have a Ursack bear bag, and I know how to use it and everything, but it's still slightly more nerve-wracking than just throwing everything in your car. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but I'm on my Specialized Status 140, because that's the only bike in working order that I currently own. And it's a trail borderline enduro bike, so well, it can do grapple climbs. It's not exactly its intended purpose. And I'm currently out of shape, so this climb is rough. But I think it's like halfway over. I think it was today's ride started out with either 6 or 7 mile climb. And the rest of the day should be downhill, luckily. But I'm at like 3 miles in. Now I feel bad. Makes me want to go swimming. It's rather warm out right now.
In the week or so leading up to this trip, I was oscillating pretty strongly between nervous and excited. Nervous because of all the new aspects I mentioned earlier, and excited because it was finally getting nice out and I've been wanting to go on some big adventures. Once I was out and riding, I was happy to be outside in the sunshine and enjoying the fresh air.
I've given up trying to pedal my way to the top of this hill, and I'm walking my bike to the top, which is still really tiring. This is very much so type 2 fun, and by that I mean it isn't fun yet. I'm sure it'll be better once I can go downhill, not climbing for miles. Looks like that washed out a bit more than they were expecting. Probably doesn't look it on my phone, but it's down pretty good ways. I think I finally made it to the top of the climb. The remaining like 11-ish miles should hopefully all be downhill from here. Hopefully. There was like a 5% chance of rain this afternoon, and now I'm starting to hear some thunder like way off in the distance, so that's fun. Generally speaking, I don't like riding on roads, but this is just a short section. It's not a very popular road, so should be fine.
Sometime around fall of last year, I started looking at some bikepacking trips that I was interested in doing, which I think I can in part blame on Ryan Van Duser's videos, but I decided it was something I wanted to try this year. After roughly putting some various adventures down on calendar, I thought April would be a good time to aim for my first bikepacking trip. April also happens to be the month of my birthday, so around the beginning of this year, I thought it would be interesting to set a goal to go on my first bikepacking trip before my 30th birthday. Now, I set this goal with the understanding that there may be some things, like the weather, that are out of my control. Winter was out of the question due to my lack of winter camping or biking gear, so spring it was. But spring in the south can be very unpredictable. The week before this it snowed, and the week before that it was 80 and sunny out. Spring around here also typically involves a lot of rain, and the general rule for the area is to not ride on wet trails. Granted, the majority of this route is actually on Forest Service roads, so the rain wouldn't matter nearly as much, but when I was originally looking at this route, I thought it involved more single track, in which case spring rain could have seriously derailed my plans. But I am happy to report that I did succeed in reaching my goal of completing my first bikepacking trip before my 30th birthday, and I did so by one day.
More climbing. You can see that big rock through the trees. Well, that's Looking Glass Rock. Let's see if we can get a shot. I think there's probably too many trees to get a really good view, but that's Looking Glass Rock. So it is a little difficult to see through all the trees still. That's Looking Glass Rock. It's a very well-known landmark within Pisgah. having a much better time now. And I'm not even really a gravel person. Generally speaking, I don't really like gravel. It feels too loose and unpredictable for me. Which is just a skill level, I'm just not used to it, but much better than the climbing. So I don't think I've actually mentioned it yet, but I'm currently in Pisgah National Forest. I've done a lot of hiking here, but this is my first time biking here. Mainly because most of the trails are like black, far above my skill level. Can't tell if we're gonna get some of that rain or not. And there's Looking Glass Rock again. A little bit closer this time. I'm half tempted to stop here for the night, because down here there's a little campsite, and it would be really cool to have that waterfall. I mean, pretty much all to myself. However, I've only gone 14 miles, which means I would have about 18 or 19 tomorrow. And I don't want to get home too late tomorrow, because I still have to, like, do life things like groceries and stuff before I have to go back to work the next day. So, I think I'll keep going. Leave a shorter day for tomorrow. I was thinking this was going to be more gravel road when I was looking at the map, but it appears not. I think it might turn into a gravel road at some point though. It seems like it always thunderstorms when I go camping, no matter what the weather forecast is. It's a little hard to see, but there's another little waterfall back there. And it's very cold, and my face tastes like sweat now. Oh, that's cool. I like those rocks. Please be my turn. So according to the route I found online, which I'll explain more about when I get to camp, if I go past that gate I just went through, there should be like a large open field area for camping. I think this is one of the parts I was most nervous about, is getting to where it said that there would be a campsite, which isn't like a designated campsite, it's just like an open field area where people camp. But getting there and then not being able to find it. Maybe here? No camping here. I've seen one spot so far, but there are already 2 people at it. So I said if the first spot's taken, just stay to the left. So stay to the left and see what we can find. I think we got our spot. It's a little trail here, so clearly people have used it. I see a little fire pit. And there are no camping signs. I feel a little more relieved now that I know where I'm camping tonight. And I can finally take this backpack off. Oh, wow.
So this is camp as I came into it. Clearly it's not set up yet. I'll show you once I do get it set up a little bit. But it's pretty decent. Got a little fire pit. Nothing else, but it's primitive camping, so it's to be expected. I'll go take a look over there soon, but you can hear the river, which is wonderful. That's Davidson River, I believe. I think most people set up their tents over there, but I think here might be an option too. I really like being able to hear the river at night.
So I didn't think about this until it started downpouring, but the stuff sack that came with my sleeping bag is water resistant, not waterproof. So my sleeping bag's slightly damp, like just the outside, like the outside layer of it was. But it's synthetic, not down, so it shouldn't be a big deal.
So I got camp more or less set up. Got my tent over there because that did look like the actual flattest spot. Backpack with stuff that I don't actually need for the night. I got my food stuff out because I still have to make dinner, but that will end up getting hung. So one of the many things I was nervous about on this trip was actually like timing it right. So like I mentioned, I don't think I've ever actually biked this far in one day before, so I didn't know how long it would take me. But I got here, I think around 6:30, it's about 7:30 now. I got camp all set up, but I still have to eat dinner. Just when I work really hard, I don't feel hungry really, so I'm sure I will soon, but not that hungry right now. But I'd say that's pretty good timing for me. I wanted to get here early enough that I could still set up camp in the daylight, which I did. But I didn't want to get here like ridiculously early, so I had like hours to fill. Brought a little sketchbook, but nothing else really because I was trying to keep it pretty minimal. So I'd say I timed it pretty well. I think sunset here is about 8 right now. So if sunset's at 8, it probably gets like dark around 8:30. Though maybe earlier because we are kind of in a valley right now. This rock's still warm from being in the sun all day. So like I mentioned earlier, this was my first ever bikepacking trip. And I'm still unsure how I feel about it. There were times where I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not having fun, I'm not good at it. Like, obviously the good at it can be improved, but if I'm not enjoying it, why? But then there are other times that it's really great, so I don't know.
Right now I just feel tired about it. That's a good way to put it, just tired. But probably my hardest bike ride ever, so that's to be expected. So far it's been entirely gravel roads and actual roads, paved roads. I don't remember what tomorrow is. It's either all gravel road or maybe some single track involved, which would be nice. I don't like riding on roads, and I don't really like gravel roads, so that might have something to do with it. But bikepacking on single track seemed like it seemed harder, so I thought this would be a good first step. I still think the climbs for today were really difficult, especially starting off with a 6-mile climb. It was just like relentless. There was no up and down, it was just 6 miles of up. And then the downhills were really fun. I think I mentioned that I don't particularly love gravel downhills, just because they tend to feel loose and unpredictable, but they were pretty good. There were just a few sections that had like bigger gravel that felt a little sketchy, but it was fun. There were some parts towards the end where I had to go back uphill and my legs just were not having it. I think that was a big thing, is that my body, just everything hurt, which made it less enjoyable. But that's something that can be improved. Like, I can get stronger and then it would be more enjoyable. Like I mentioned before too, I believe, this isn't my usual type of camping. I'm very comfortable at campgrounds and like car camping. It's starting to rain again. Hold on. Alright, I got my food plugged up real quick. So hopefully it stops raining soon, like before dark, so I'm trying to eat dinner. But this is my only change of clothes, so I'm not going to get them wet, so I don't have nothing to sleep in. I know I was talking about camping, what I thought. I don't remember where I was. I'm used to car camping, very comfortable with that. I've been backcountry camping once, but it felt different because there's like a reserve site still. I mean, it's still primitive, but it felt different. Also because it was on an island, it felt different, like it felt more secluded. It wasn't, because something still showed up in the middle of the night and made a lot of noise. I do like that it's more private though, like, it's not 100% private, it's not like there's no one around. I've seen, I think, maybe 3 different groups of people. There was a couple at the first site that I tried to go to, and I've seen a single person and then another couple walking down, like, the main trail that I was on and then got off of to come to this campsite. So there are other people around. It's not, but there's a lot of space in between everyone. It's not like I'm right next to my neighbor like it would be at like a group campsite. Not a group campsite, but like a normal campsite. Sounds like the rain's dying down. Means I can go eat. Maybe. It's just not the first thing. I don't know if this affects a lot of people now. I'm glad I'm not riding for this. It would have been nice to get at least 3 or 4 minutes of food. You can hear peeps. That's fantastic. I love the sound of peeps. I don't recall it raining anymore last night. Usually that's something that would wake me up. But everything outside my tent is soaked, and everything inside my tent is really damp. So, not looking forward to riding in damp clothes this morning. So yesterday when I got to camp, like, everything hurt. Doing a little bit better today. My hips are sore, but other than that, my legs are pretty much fine. I'm sure they'll be sore quickly when I start pedaling again, but they're doing alright right now. My shoulders and back are killing me though. So I got a new backpack a little while ago, and this is like the first big trip I'm taking it on, and I wanted to have enough water. I brought a water filter, but I was like, well, I'll bring as much water that reasonably fits, and it fits a 2.5 liter bladder, so that's what I brought. And I found that even though it fits that size bladder, it was not meant to carry that much weight. So yeah, so the backpack straps were really hurting my shoulders, and I feel like the climb yesterday wouldn't even be as bad as it actually was if it weren't for that, because my shoulders just started hurting instantly. So I'm going to bring significantly less water today. I'm going to have my water bottle filled on my bike, and then I'll probably have a little bit of water in the bladder, but definitely not full. Probably about enough to refill my water bottle once. We'll see if that goes any better today. So yesterday I didn't do a good job of actually explaining what route I'm on. So this is the Davidson Dreamer shared by Rockgeist, but I did modify it slightly. The original route is a lollipop shape, but that like stick part of the lollipop was all on roads, so I just kind of cut that off, and I'm just doing a loop. So this is what the loop looks like. I started here, I'm camping here, so I went up and down yesterday, and then I have this part to do today. So I did 18 miles, which puts me about here. So that's what I did yesterday. So I have about 2 miles of downhill and a 5 mile climb, and a little downhill, a little uphill, and then the rest should be downhill. So not looking forward to the 5 mile climb, but the rest of it should be pretty fun. And I think there's gonna be a little bit of road here, a little bit of road there, oops, a little road there, and then the rest of this should all be gravel road, possibly some single track, but I think it's all gravel road. 0 out of 10, do not recommend changing from your warm, comfy pajamas to damp, cold bike clothes. Not fun. Alright, I sat on the bike for the first time today, and now I can confirm my butt hurts a lot too. Made it to the start of the big climb. Steep so far.
I have a question for any fellow girls who ride, specifically about chamois. I don't typically ride in a chamois, but I thought I should on this trip due to the length and back-to-back days, but I didn't really find it beneficial. My butt was still sore, and I found the chamois itself to be more uncomfortable than not wearing one. So I'm wondering if you either have chamois recommendations or if anyone just rides without one. For reference, the one I'm wearing is from Fox, and it is a women-specific one.
Got a little hitchhiker. You know how hard it is to hold camera in focus with your non-dominant hand? Brief break from the climb. So it looks like we finally made it to the downhill section. So with the exception of about a mile midway, the rest of this should be downhill all the way to my car, which is very welcomed. Apparently I missed a turn at some point. Alright, apparently we got some single track. Not sure if this is one way or not.
Yes, I hear that rattling, and yes, I didn't like listening to it either. Eventually I did get it to stop though. It's my tent stakes bouncing against each other. Luckily they're all fine. I did have a slight issue with my tent bag rubbing, however, and it did rub some small holes in the tent bag, but thankfully not the tent itself. Anytime you try something new to you, there's gonna be mistakes made, so I'm just glad it didn't become an expensive lesson to learn. The tent bag will be super easy to patch to help keep the elements out. I will be doing a whole separate video, however, on the gear I used, what I liked, and what I would do differently. So if you're also new to bike packing and are interested in what's actually necessary and what's not, be sure to keep an eye out for that. In the middle of this trip, I expressed I didn't really know how I felt about bikepacking yet. I just felt tired. After getting home and getting some sleep, I still feel tired, but I have some more thoughts. I agree with what I said earlier in that this was type 2 fun. There were definitely some parts that were hard in the moment and not fun at the time, but looking back, the trip as a whole was fun and I'm glad I did it. So will I go bikepacking again? Absolutely. Will I go bikepacking next weekend? That would be a no. I'll be resting, editing, and prepping for my next camping trip, which is the following weekend. It will still involve bikes, but it will be car camping. It is still next to a river though, which I love. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to be always adventuring.